dropped into one of the wildest places on the planet. I'm going to run a unique experiment. Using a network of remotely operated cameras, I want to explore every level of this incredible jungle in real time for a month. A wildlife filmmaking first.
Let's see if we can get a wide shot of this as well.
The multiple live feeds will allow us to experience the behaviors of the animals here as the action unfolds. Filming 24/7 and suffering challenging conditions. We'll try to capture the lives of remarkable creatures.
What's that in the trees?
And experience life in this incredible green realm in a whole new way.
That is remarkable.
I'm Will Benson, a naturalist and filmmaker.
If I was to take a banana...
And with my team, it's taken us a week to rig a remarkable patch of Amazon rainforest with remote-controlled cameras to covertly watch the lives of the animals here. In my hunt for this incredible location, I surveyed maps and satellite images. And in the Amazon basin of Ecuador, I found a region of unmatched biodiversity. It took us 4 days to get here and can only be accessed by boat. Parts of this jungle have never been visited by humans. It doesn't get any wilder than this.
A troop of very noisy woolly monkeys just climbing above us right now.
A single hectare here contains more tree species than the entire of the US and Canada combined, and over 100,000 species of insect. It's a living, breathing, green metropolis of life. And I can't wait to meet its billions of inhabitants. Across this patch of jungle, our cameras will allow us to see it all. From 3 feet below the ground to 300 feet above it. We've bugged an area of tangled vines inhabited by a colony of palm-sized monkeys. Rigged a muddy wallow visited by mammals and exotic birds. Trained our cameras on fruiting trees up in the emergent layer that will attract hungry primates. Lined the riverbank with cameras to capture the Amazon's aquatic critters and rigged nesting sites and animal trails. The live feeds from the cameras are wired back to our remote monitoring stations.
Look at the size of that. Oh, it's huge.
From where we'll follow the action across multiple areas of the rainforest as it unfolds. The network of cameras have been rolling day and night for a week now. And we're getting into the swing of spying on the daily lives of the inhabitants of this jungle metropolis. The sack-winged bats blissfully fill their days, alternating between sunbathing and sleeping. While this family of saki monkeys are still trying to make sense of our cameras.
They look a bit bemused.
Yeah. I think you would be if a strange camera suddenly appeared in your living room one day.
Almost nothing is known about these rare primates who live hidden among the top layer of this city of green. So being able to meet their inquisitive gaze through our spy rig is an incredible moment.
Fantastic.
Appearing somewhat overdressed, in their coat of coarse fur, they use their strong hind legs to propel themselves through the branches. Getting to see these elusive sarkies so early on is a great sign. And we're now itching to meet the 9 other species of monkey that share this treetop neighborhood. But then, rain. The downpours here can last anywhere from a few hours to a few weeks.
Just starting to rain rather heavily. Luckily we've got this tar pot to protect us.
And the bad weather is threatening to bring our whole project to a soggy standstill.
It's now rained every day for the last 8 days, and we're waterproofed and our kits are waterproofed, but the wildlife has pretty much gone to ground. We've had minimal activity at most of our camera sites because wildlife doesn't like getting wet, and it hunkers down, waits for a bit of a sunny window to come out and forage and hunt for food. But, you know, this is all part of the experiment, all part of the challenge, and keep our fingers crossed that it stops raining soon. We can dry our boots out and film some wildlife.
All we can do is sit it out. And after the 10th day of rain, the clouds finally clear. And I'm thrilled when the wildlife begins to return to our cameras. These bristly, pig-like animals are collared peccaries. And it seems the alert adults have sensed they're being watched.
They're probably looking at the cameras.
They're so aware of them, aren't they?
But they soon realise we pose no threat and return to their daily business. This muddy wallow is clearly irresistible to peccaries. And our cameras are revealing why. It's the ideal place for a refreshing drink and somewhere to cool off in the midday heat.
Oh look, there's some little tiny ones. Little babies.
Fantastic.
Squabbling between the peccaries seems to be a regular affair, but it rarely lasts long. Day after day, we watch as the herd returns to this wallow.
Their really sensitive noses are great for finding seeds and tasty morsels to eat here.
And this relentless snuffling and plodding stops trees and plants from growing in the wet soil. So it seems they've tailor-made this mucky meeting place to suit their needs just perfectly. Trail cameras on this forest floor capture incredible predators, like puma, a notoriously elusive jaguar. With hungry mouths patrolling down here, life in the trees is a far safer option for many. And 10 feet up, our cameras spy one of the most vulnerable animals of all. It's a pygmy marmoset. Weighing less than an apple, pygmy marmosets are the smallest monkey in the world.
Look at their little faces. Just gorgeous.
Stunning.
Their needle-sharp fingernails enable them to scamper up and down tree trunks and vines. leaping over 30 times their body length from tree to tree. They can swivel their heads backwards to spot any potential predators. And it seems something has caught the eye of one of the marmosets, prompting a loud warning call.
Oh, look, he's really...
There's some movement over there.
Yeah.
The technology we're using here means we have an eye at all levels of this jungle.
Zoom in there.
From one of our canopy cameras, we can zoom in and see what's triggered this alarm. A great black hawk, stealthily eyeing them up. A very real threat for one of these snack-sized monkeys. The shrill call lets the hawk know he's been spotted. And it has the desired effect. His cover has been blown, and he's lost the element of surprise, allowing the rest of the marmosets to return to their playful ways. For now. From the moment we entered this jungle, we've been surrounded by a more dizzying array of life than anywhere I've ever experienced. But to see some of the more unusual creatures here, we need a few extra tricks up our sleeve.
I think we want to make sure we've got as much coverage in this clearing as possible.
This way.
Yeah. We obviously know there's big populations of things like jaguar and puma here and lots of scavengers, but it's a huge area. I think we can use a cow's head as bait, and we can hopefully bring some of those really cool animals towards where we've got some of our cameras set up and see some of the action for ourselves.
How long do you reckon it'll take for animals to actually smell this thing and start coming in?
I reckon things like vultures, they've got an amazing sense of smell. Possibly in the first day we're going to see animals start coming in.
And thanks to a remarkable insect, we have the perfect setting for our experiment.
There's one species of ant that creates these clearings that has a symbiotic relationship with these trees, which are it's the same trees in this whole area. And the ants live inside these branches. You can see there are little in and out holes, and these swellings are their nest nodule. The ant releases an acid into the soil, which no other tree species tolerates, so those trees can't grow here. This tree tolerates it, and as a result gets precedence to grow here. And the common name for this species of ant is the lemon ant,
Right.
because if you eat it, it tastes like lemon. It's like the world's smallest lemon sherbet. Give it a go.
More like lime.
With insects eaten and the lure set, everything is in place to monitor this area over the coming days, to see who arrives. Each evening, we spy on the animals as they hunker down among the three-dimensional tangle of branches. And while this baby woolly monkey is snuggling up with Mum, there's no rest for our team. As the sun dips below the canopy, the jungle's night shift begins to stir. To see in this nighttime world, we've rigged the jungle with infrared lights. But wildlife has no need for technology to operate in the Amazon's twilight zone. This brocket deer has a layer of ultra-light-sensitive cells at the back of its eyes, allowing it to see using the faintest twinkle of starlight. and keep watch for nighttime hunters.
Oh, number one. What's that? Something moving in the bushes.
Like this solitary puma. "20 feet above the forest floor, our cameras spy a family of curious night monkeys stirring.
Oh, they're quite cute. Like,
It's quite cute, isn't it?
oh, look at the little baby ones. Incredible.
These are the only nocturnal monkeys on the planet. By day, they sleep in this hollowed-out tree. But under the cover of darkness, they emerge.
So he's coming out.
Off he goes.
To hunt for insects and ripe fruit in the surrounding canopy.
We've got the infrared lights and we can see pretty well.
Yeah.
But actually down there it is
Yeah.
pitch black.
If we went out there, we'd be just completely blind.
As the weeks roll on, one of the toughest parts of this filming experiment is keeping our network of cameras rolling 24/7. And with a small team, that means working in shifts. 2 of us will wake up in the middle of the night, pack all our food, water and batteries for the next 12-hour shift, and make the exhausting hour-long hike through the dark to switch out with the other half of the team. But operating the cameras in the day can be just as demanding. Wildlife rarely appears on demand. And even with multiple cameras placed across the jungle, we can sometimes wait for days without seeing any activity, even when their calls are tantalizingly close. You can hear them. Yeah, they're still around.
Very quiet today. There's plenty of wildlife in here, like this one.
Fortunately, as the sun rises on a new day, the wildlife activity around our cameras picks up again. Yellow-spotted turtles are regular visitors to our riverbank cameras. And this one is looking for a place to haul out. Easier said than done when you're wearing a heavy shell. When the sun's out, these turtles bask in the heat. It warms their cold-blooded bodies, while the UV rays kill parasites and algae growing on their shell. A blissful moment of alone time. On these blistering days, our monitors are busy with activity. The peccaries are joined by animals from across the forest. From piping guans to inquisitive curassows and twist-necked turtles join in on the action. Even the nervous rocket deer has returned, braving a quick drink in the safety of the clearing. What appeared at first to be a humble, muddy pool is, in fact, a hidden haven for the animals here. All thanks to the curious peccaries who fortify this wallow with their daily visits. At midday, the fierce equatorial sun bakes the canopy. Moisture is sucked from the treetops like a giant sauna. As the mercury creeps close to 100 degrees, it's hot work for both the animals and for us.
Oh, wow, look, quickly. Spider monkeys.
I've never seen these guys coming down out of the trees before, ever.
Spider monkeys almost never leave the safety of the treetops. Jaguar and puma roam the forest floor and would seize any opportunity to prey on these large primates. It's a risky maneuver.
There he is. He's coming to drink.
In the searing heat, this male's need for a drink has become too great. While the young seem oblivious to the danger afoot, the female waits nervously. He's dangerously exposed. Ordinarily, spider monkeys get their water from tree holes or moisture gathered on leaves. Could something else be drawing them to this mud wallow?
Oh yeah, look, there he goes.
Wonderful. It's really rare to be able to see this sort of behaviour.
We don't have to wait long before our cameras capture another piece of the puzzle.
Oh, I think it's a howler monkey.
Yeah, it's a howler monkey.
Oh, I hope they come down.
Following in the spider monkey's footsteps, the howler monkey wastes no time heading down to the muddy bank. But it's not a drink of water he's after.
Yeah, they're not drinking. That is eating whole clumps of clay. Amazing.
Like whole mouthfuls of stuff. Oh look, there's two.
Howler monkeys are known to sometimes eat clay that's rich in minerals to help neutralize toxins from their leafy diet. Their mucky meal is evidence that this watering hole contains more than meets the eye, and sheds light on why the monkeys risk life and limb to come and feed here.
That's amazing to see.
Despite the rewards of filming in a pristine rainforest, the conditions are far from easy.
We've been setting up remote cameras in hard to get to places. It's obviously muddy and slippery, and we've got to get cameras and cables and feed them back to our tent.
Just getting power to our camera rig in a place this remote is a huge logistical challenge.
So the The batteries that we're using to power our remote rig are these kind of 20 kilo 12-volt batteries, and we've got 3 of them that we're having to carry to and from base every day. So the walk alone with this weight is killing us, and it's an enterprise unto itself, and that's before you've even pressed record on the cameras.
I've worked in the Serengeti, in the Arctic, in every sort of environment, up mountains, and there's nowhere quite like the jungle. It's so difficult in so many ways to try and film wildlife. And the wildlife is spread between 100 metres up and a metre down in the ground, and you can quite easily walk for 20 minutes here and see nothing. Yet I know the facts are that I've probably passed thousands of species in that time.
While the Amazon's wildlife are experts at keeping themselves hidden, trail cameras reveal that powerful predators do use this area. Hoping to film the behaviours of one of these apex predators, we decide to rig a location close to where the trail cameras were last triggered.
I think this site's perfect. I could imagine, something like a jaguar could be up there, a puma, lying in wait. Amazing ambush predators, as we know. They will potentially sit and watch things going into this cave, and then, you could have a deer come through here. It would have no idea it's being watched, and that jaguar would be on its back before it knows about it. So it's a long shot, but I think if we have our cameras here, we're likely to see some really exciting behaviour.
As well as rigging cameras outside the cave, we install a camera inside as well, to see what animals use it.
So I think we're going to have to run the cable.
We have no idea what could be lurking deeper inside, so we've got to be extremely cautious.
We can have some infrared lights in there so we can have a bit of illumination.
Getting the infrared lights in place means crawling for 40 feet through thick mud into the furthest reaches of the cave.
There's some bats flying around in there. Clearly an active spot.
Not only is this cave the perfect home for a whole manner of jungle predators, bats are known to carry some of the deadliest diseases known to humans. So this isn't somewhere I want to hang around. And with the lights installed, I make a hasty exit. For a zoologist like me, there are few places more exhilarating than a rainforest after dark, and the nighttime world of the Amazon quite literally pulses with life. Our microphones across the jungle capture a chorus of nocturnal animals echoing through the understory. The camera we installed in the cave is already paying off, revealing a lively colony of round-eared bats. And in infrared, we can see their invisible world. These bats can't support their body weight standing upright, so instead they hang from the roof. Special tendons in their feet allow them to dangle with zero effort, so they can focus on more important tasks, like grooming. But getting up there takes a feat of precision aerobatics. They have to flip 180 degrees mid-air and reverse into position.
I guess you always see bats either flying or hanging upside down backwards, and you never really thought about how they get from one to the other.
How they get into that position, yeah.
A bit like parallel parking.
Yeah.
But they just slot right in. At the back of the cave, it looks like all the adults are in one spot and then the young are sort of off to the side.
Yeah, they're really separated, aren't they?
Yeah.
Their bizarre leaf-shaped nose focuses and amplifies their chirping echolocation calls into a narrow beam. It's a supersense, allowing them to navigate in the dark and locate any potential dangers. And we soon discover what these bats need to be wary of.
Oh, there's something on 3. Snake.
Oh, wow.
That is a big snake.
Look at the way it moves its head. Like kind of almost sniffing through the air.
Well, it looks like he's hunting.
Using heat-sensitive receptors on its head, the snake probes the air for any bat within striking range.
Being at the cave entrance, probably not a bad place, just waiting for a bat to fly past.
But this bat appears too busy cleaning its wings to have noticed.
I mean, I've seen a couple of snakes around camp, but I haven't seen one this big.
No, that is a sizable snake. He's got to be 6 foot long, maybe.
Big enough to make this bat pay attention.
He's disappeared. Well, it's quite creepy to think when we were setting up the camera in the cave, could have been in there the whole time.
As the snake slinks into the undergrowth, the colony are left in peace. Every sunrise in the Amazon feels magical. 1 billion jungle inhabitants awakening for a new day. The air in this jungle is a living moisture, microbes, and invisible spores, slowly decaying everything it touches.
I think I've got 2 belts that I've gone through here. Both of them have been consumed by mould. They just don't dry.
And while our cameras are designed for these rainforest conditions, it's beginning to take its toll on them too.
The biggest challenge with the cameras and all the equipment we have here is the humidity, and that affects cables, it affects cameras, and you can have a camera working just fine one moment, and then all of a sudden it reaches a point where it no longer works.
It becomes a constant struggle for us to keep the cameras and monitors running 24/7.
It's already full of water.
But if we got another box, I'm sure we could work it out.
Some camera's gone down and we've had to swap it out for a new one, and that will last fine for a few days and then that will go down. So that's a constant challenge, is to keep repairing and keeping on top of all the kit.
We just brought these back from one of our positions, and there's water kind of dripping out of various bits of it. It's actually soaking wet in there. They are waterproof, but when it's been raining here, it's been literally a power shower. It's been a jet wash.
When it's this wet everywhere, cameras just don't survive.
With only a tight window to get the footage we need here, we've got to keep the rig running and not let the conditions get to us. For now, the cameras are back in action, and we can press on with our filming experiment.
What's that in the trees? There's something moving there.
It's a troop of woolly monkeys.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
God, there's loads of them.
Their muscular bodies enable them to move with ease among the 3-dimensional layers of the canopy and make death-defying leaps from branch to branch.
Very, very agile, like an acrobat.
Our cameras are revealing that they have a secret weapon for success among these treetops.
Oh, look how he's holding himself off that branch.
the inside of the top of the tail, which they can use to grab onto things. But it is like another hand. They're pretty much dangling from their tails. It's like Mission Impossible.
Their tail can support their entire body weight, freeing up their hands to search for food. Each morning, like clockwork, we watch as the troop heads out.
Let's see if we can follow him.
Yeah.
Can you move that camera one? Let's see if there's something coming through there.
Led by the imposing alpha male, they travel through the canopy's interconnected sea of green. And our cameras capture glimpses of their 2-mile foraging mission. 150 feet above the forest floor, we see that the foods they're after are young leaves and fresh shoots. But climbing higher still, there's an even tastier reward. Soft, ripe fruit. Their sensitive hands allow them to feel for those which are just right for picking.
That thick fur is amazing.
Yeah. I wonder if it's to keep the bugs away.
But woolly monkeys appear to be picky eaters, consuming just the juiciest and sweetest part of the fruit and discarding the rest. As they feast their way through the treetops, their cast-offs shower the forest floor below, where the seeds can germinate.
Privileged view. Yeah.
So it seems their picky table manners actually help to plant more fruit trees here, meaning the next generation of ravenous woolies will have plenty to feast on. It's been 3 weeks since we began our filming experiment, and our remote cameras have discovered creatures of all shapes and sizes. But there's one group of animals that reigns supreme. Insects. Over 2.5 million species of them inhabit every inch of the Amazon jungle. And each day is a battle against this relentless army of bugs.
We're absolutely covered in...
Sometimes they're after our equipment.
This is what's happening to our bags. They're everywhere.
Most of the time, they just want us.
Everything wants to lay its eggs in you or bite you or sting you.
Just being pursued by a fly who just literally went up there, came back, went up there, came back, and he just followed me the whole way.
It seems the wildlife, too, isn't exempt from this barrage of bugs.
I liken it to, imagine you're in a sauna and you're doing a full body workout. Every 5 minutes, someone pokes you with a really sharp stick.
For most of the inhabitants here, bugs mean food. And for this Oropendola, a juicy caterpillar is the perfect way to start the day. Several floors below, in the tangled understory, our cameras spot that the pygmy marmosets are also working up quite an appetite.
Let's go wider on one of these other angles.
The whole gang are out in force.
Oh, wow. There's lots of them.
Using their needle-sharp teeth, they nibble holes in the tree.
Oh, wow.
Our close-up camera reveals that it's not the bark they're eating, but the sticky sap underneath. A high-energy superfood for these marmosets. It pools into the perfectly excavated holes, ready to be slurped up.
Lapping it up.
Draining all the sap from one part of the tree could harm it, so the marmosets create a network of holes and eat just a little from each. This industrious colony can create up to 1,300 holes on a single tree. So getting to the sap before it drips away is busy business. Our cameras are revealing that the pygmy marmosets are essentially farming this delicious gum up in the canopy. A smart strategy that saves these vulnerable monkeys from making dangerous trips into the jungle to find food.
This is what's amazing about using a rig of cameras like this, that you can film unnoticed.
Yeah.
And the wildlife will continue as if you're not there.
Our cameras have stealthily watched the bait for many days now, and after the long wait, our patience is finally rewarded. It's one of the rainforest's most infamous undertakers, a yellow-headed vulture. Unlike most birds, they have an incredible sense of smell, allowing them to zero in on a potential meal in thick jungle from up to 2 miles away. Their entire diet consists of dead meat, and their bald head and legs are perfectly adapted to stay clean as they pick their way through a messy carcass. Other species of vultures have a poor sense of smell, but the sight of the yellow-headed vultures circling has alerted them to the feast below. The first to join are the giants of the vulture world. King vultures. With a 7-foot wingspan, they are top of the pecking order here.
Oh, what was that? Something landed in the tree. It was quite big.
Must be the king vulture.
Must be a king, yeah.
With their piercing eyes and flame-red face, it's easy to see why ancient Mayans believed king vultures to be messengers for the gods. Despite their foreboding appearance, vultures are incredibly cautious, and a gathering like this would be impossible to film up close. Ordinarily, the domineering kings would muscle the smaller vultures off a carcass. But today, something is holding them back. It's not quite the apex predator we were hoping for.
It's a tortoise.
That is a tortoise. Wonder what he's doing here.
The vultures seem as surprised as we are by this unlikely arrival at the banquet.
Maybe it's just his route through
Could be.
on his morning walk.
Yellow-footed tortoises are a well-known resident of the forest floor.
Yeah, he's on a mission. Look at him. He's heading straight for it.
They're known to feast on leaves and fruit.
Putting his nose right in there.
Yeah.
This rarely seen behaviour of a tortoise scavenging meat is how they supplement their diet with a bit of extra protein. And now it's had its fill, it returns to its fruit-eating ways.
It's such a cute animal, I'm almost disappointed in the dog.
It's a glorious afternoon, and at the river, the yellow-spotted turtles are again soaking up some rays in quiet tranquility. But not for long. This, however, is no chance encounter. This butterfly has come here looking for a meal. Unlike carnivores that get sodium from their diet, herbivorous butterflies need to get creative about how they get it. Further along the riverbank, our cameras have discovered huge numbers of colourful butterflies flocking to patches of exposed clay. They use their long proboscises to lick the mud and extract any sodium from the moist soil. It's a beautifully organised affair, with each species colour-coding themselves to feed in their own patch. But some butterflies seek a more intense sodium hit. And unfortunately for turtles, their tears are the ultimate source. The salty moisture around their eyes and nose is irresistible. The boldest butterflies don't even wait for the turtles to be fully out of the water. But they appear remarkably accepting of their fluttering companions. Perhaps their probing proboscises clean the turtles' hard-to-reach places. But even the most obliging turtles have a limit. Compelling them to return once more to the solitude of the water. As the nights tick by, our cameras across the forest are finding creatures that only emerge under the cover of darkness. From the charming...
It's moving in the bushes.
It's a porcupine.
Is it?
Oh, look, he just fell over. Oh, that's really sweet.
to the unexpected.
Oh, wow, there is actually a crab.
Yeah. Weird to see a crab in the middle of the jungle.
With infrared cameras, we're able to see the invisible. And along the banks of the river, they're revealing a colossal cloud of insects gathering over the water. And it's not long before this buzz of activity attracts some familiar faces. So this is where the bats come when they leave their cave. They fire high-pitched chirps across the water. And by listening to the echoes that bounce back, they can zero in on a single insect and make their strike. Even large prey items, like this huge moth, can be dispatched on the wing. Each bat can eat up to 3,000 insects per night. And our infrared cameras are revealing the scale of this feeding frenzy. I, for one, appreciate their part in helping to keep the army of biting insects here in check. After 4 incredible weeks, our time here is almost at an end. Filming undercover in the jungle has allowed us to experience the lives of the animals here in a whole new way.
That is fantastic. An animal's eye view of this amazing forest clearing.
And as a zoologist, it's allowed me to witness things that I never imagined possible.
You'd never be able to get this sort of footage. Even sitting in a hide with a long lens, you'd have to be so lucky. Yeah.
But it's been a humbling experience.
This has definitely been one of the most mentally challenging projects I've ever done.
The extreme conditions pushed our equipment and our bodies to their very limit, giving us a profound understanding of what the animals must overcome to survive here. We've had just glimpses of some creatures and have become well acquainted with others. Yet, this is just a snapshot of the magnitude of life that exists here.
What a remarkable moment to have captured.
And a reminder of how much there is still to learn about this magical Eden.